Time for another episode. Today we're going to talk about the fact that good old Tucky Wuckums over on Fox News has been given 41,000 hours of raw January 6th footage, and Speaker Kevin McCarthy is the one who did it. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss why I think this is such a hugely bad idea and such an egregious abuse of power over here. So first, let's start off by saying what it would have been like if the January 6th hearings or any of the footage, any of the media that they used was exclusively given to one person at one network. For example, Dan Rather or Maddow or Anderson Cooper or Jimmy Kimmel on a late show. Imagine if just one reporter at one location for one broadcast was given all of the information that the January 6th committee used, or that only one left-oriented media network could carry the J6 hearings. It would have been an incredible uproar. The fact that this is happening to one person at one network that is proven to be ridiculously partisan and that had to declare themselves as entertainment to avoid a lawsuit slamming them for their newscasting abilities. It is a joke. Like, you cannot write comedy better than this. The clown car that is this situation has had the trunk open for days, and there still is more clowns coming out of this situation. This is so ridiculous. First of all, 41,000 hours of raw footage is just incredible. How can anybody curate this? Now, I'm going to bring up my calculator here really quick. And we're just going to say that, okay, out of the 41,000 hours, let's say half of it isn't a repeat. You know, you're going to get some footage where it's the same thing from multiple angles, like, say, Holly running in fear down the hallway. It's the same event, just a different angle. So I'm going to be super generous and say it is 20,000 hours of footage that isn't duplicated. Now, we're going to divide that by 24. 833 days it would take one person to pour over all of this footage nonstop. Not eating without viewing it, not going to the bathroom without viewing it, not sleeping a la Clockwork Orange with their eyes pried open. 833 days it would take to go over all of this footage. That is approaching 3 years worth of manpower if one person did it. So that's just that. Like, when do you honestly think you would see the results of this with just let's say one person doing that? Now, you're going to say, okay, Napalm, clearly Fox is a huge network. They're not going to have one person looking through the footage. They're going to have multiple people doing it. And therein lies the problem. So you can debunk my narrative that it's too much footage for one person to look at. And you would be right. And it would be highly intelligent to think a team of people would be doing that. But now you fall into the next trap over here. And that trap is the security of all of this. 41,000 hours of raw footage from that day would reveal secret ways in which people move about the Capitol, bailout routes that people would take. We don't even have the identity of the Capitol bomber. We don't even have the identity of the people who disabled the panic buttons. How good would it be to reveal the route that Congress people took to get to safety? How the police moved through the Capitol? What honestly could be revealed in the Capitol footage that we haven't seen already? People forget there was the Parler hack. When Parler got hacked, enterprising individuals took the raw footage from the people who participated in January 6th from the insurrection side, took their phone's footage and dumped it out on the net. Raw footage directly from the people conducting J6. We saw what they did. We saw the eye in the sky on the newscast showing what happened on the outside. We've seen the Parler hack data, being out there, seeing it through the eyes of the people that lived it. What other narrative is there still to bring up? Sure. So what you're going to get is you're going to get Fox saying, look over here, the police let somebody in the barricade. Police opened the door and stood by on the other side of the velvet rope as people walked by. We've seen that. They've tried that narrative, that it was just a bunch of tourists being let into the building and having their patriotic fun. We know that's bullshit. We know that happened. Those things physically happen. But the attempt to spin that into this being peaceful or passive, or that the DC police were in on it, or the National Guard were in on it, or that Pelosi failed to order this to happen when in fact she had no power to, but the J6 footage has revealed that she at least tried and was making calls to do it, because the person who was supposed to do it, Donald J. Trump, wasn't doing it. As a matter of fact, he has stated, they're not here for me. Take away the magnetometers. These people are not here to be against me. He said it. Like, how do you take that back? You cannot unring that bell. You cannot assign privilege to Pelosi that she didn't have. That privilege to have handled J6 properly rests solely on one person. And now there are people trying to release footage of the cops on J6 saying, we got set up out here, this is bad, we don't have masks and everything. They're trying to say that the cops were set up by a person who didn't actually have the power to do anything to them and set them up, and that being Pelosi. What you see in those videos of the cops saying, we've been like strung out here, we've been set up and everything like that, what they're talking about is the fact that they were woefully understaffed for what was happening. And what was happening and what they were understaffed against is the J6 rioters. There is no other thing that can change that. And why this is such a massive security leak is due to the fact that there's going to be a team of people looking at this. So first of all, there's going to be whoever delivers this footage to Fox. That person could become compromised in all this. And then when it gets to Fox, since it's not going to be Tucky Wuckums with Clockwork Orange eyes going through nearly 3 years worth of footage by himself, okay, it's going to be a team of people on Fox that, again, any one of them could be compromised to start leaking, quote unquote, the footage and have it get out there in the public sphere. Bad actors within the United States and outside of the United States who seek to cause the U.S. harm could very well try to compromise people in the line of this footage getting from Kevin McCarthy to Fox News and Tucky Wuckums. And what's also ridiculous about this fact, it's brought up right over here. Carlson has had confirmed text messages saying that the election fraud claims pushed by Trump and his cronies are absurd and insane. This is in the books. This is now in a legal filing. How can anybody still think that Tucky Wuckums is the way to do this? I mean, if it was Newsmax or OAN, people who have been ridiculously sycophantic and been so elbow deep in the Trump cult, that would actually make more sense. It would be way worse. It's way more dangerous for one of those outlets to have this. But the fact that you've gone to somebody who is at their core inconsistent in being pro-Trump is very, very surprising. And this is so dangerous. This is so bothersome to anybody who thinks, I wouldn't even say outside the box, somebody who thinks in or out of the box properly with some real critical thinking. This is very, very dangerous stuff to have raw, unedited footage out in the wild, potentially out in the wild, and going to an incredibly partisan network. And why the right looks at Fox and continues to think that this is the good outlet to do that is crazy. If they had done this to Reuters or NPR or AP or anybody somewhat close to the center, or even to the left, this is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. If this was curated footage from police or Capitol Security or something like that, that would also be a bit better. But this is raw footage that could reveal a lot of the inner workings, a lot of the security, a lot of the procedures in terms of evacuation and terror events, that if anybody got their hands on this, Washington, D.C. could be compromised at its core. What if in this footage is one of the Congress people headed towards a door that seems to be going to the secret tunnels under the Capitol, or seeking shelter in a room that is believed to be secure? I mean, a lot of offices, you have signs that'll say, like, in the event of disaster weather, like tornadoes and everything, go to this building, go to this room, pick a bathroom because of its structure. There are procedures in place for people to protect themselves. And we're not talking something as basic as the air raid drills of the 50s when the boomer generations were kids and they were taught to go in the hallway and cover their heads or get under their desks. This is private, secure matters that don't need to be in the hands of Fox. They don't need to be in the hands of Tucky Wuckums. And they don't need to be passing through the hands of people who could very easily be compromised and start leaking this. Leaking is public. When I say leak, I mean it could go out into the public sphere. What if this privately is revealed to people who threaten or blackmail or pay for it? What if this goes to people who seek to harm the United States Capitol national security? And that is what is so, so bad about this. And that is what is so bothersome. And I wish some people somewhere had said this would not be a good idea. And I mean, I can't honestly think of when we would actually see Fox begin to cover this, simply because of the volume in this. I truly believe This is likely some of the concessions that McCarthy made to break the stalemates when he was being elected speaker. I think he probably said to the really deep MAGA crowd, I'll do this for you, I'll do it. I think in his heart of hearts, he knows this is a bad idea and probably thought better of it. I believe his hand is being forced into it by the crazies who were not backing him and were not voting for him to be speaker. This is an example of how ridiculously corrupt and crazy the MAGAsphere has become. I'm not going to call this conservative. That's an unfair slam to people who are just simply conservative. This is a ridiculous thing to come out of Trump world, is what it is. I don't honestly believe it will reveal anything that we don't already know, and the things that it will attempt to reveal will just simply be spins on things, basically massaged messages. Seeing somebody post on Twitter of the police saying, we've been set up, what I was saying earlier in the episode, that is a perfect example of a massaged message. This is a diehard right-winger with a very diehard right-wing TikTok putting that video out there, and based on the person who's serving it to you, the context is that the Capitol Police were in on it, and that some of these people are beginning to realize that they're in on it and they're actually the ones creating the issue with J6. That is not what the police are admitting to in that video. They're admitting that they're understaffed and they're underprepared and that they want to give up their position to save their lives. That's what the guy says. He's like, fuck it, let them take it, because he doesn't want to lose his life that day. And he feels set up to fight an unwinnable war. As somebody said down in the comments, it's like being assigned to Custer's regiment and seeing the Indians come over the hill and believing like, goddamn, I've been set up to this. He was saying they were set up to fail because they didn't have the proper gear and manpower to fight back what happened on J6. But the person who posted that on Twitter, you can tell the way that they're spinning it, and that's not the reality of it. He's got several videos. It's I believe redpill.state over at TikTok. You can find it out yourself. It is rife with videos like that, and because of the person who's delivering it to you, you can tell what is the intended message, but it's not actually what you're actually seeing in the video. So thanks for checking out this video from the Political Napalm. What do you think of Tucky Welcomes over at Fox getting 41,000 hours of raw footage of J6? Do you think this is in the best public interest to see all of this? Because they're going to curate it. You could sit there and say, all right, the J6 committee curated what they did for their hearings and everything. What do you think Fox will do? Fox is not going to make 41,000 hours available on the Fox News site. It would crush them. Their servers would be positively crushed as people would flock to the Fox News servers to see this, especially the conspiracy theorists who think J6 wasn't what we actually know it to be. They would wreck the Fox servers trying to get this. So they're not going to make it publicly available. But what they're going to do is Tucky Welcomes is going to make curated broadcasts and say, look what's happening here. I don't get it. Like, I'm just asking a question. Why is this police officer moving this gate away? It looks like, I don't know, but it looks like they're letting the people in. Is that because they're in on it too? Like, he's going to do that, and he's going to have that dumbass face that he does when he pretends to be thinking, and he's nearly at that Joker level of insanity where he busts out and does that high-pitched laughter that he does. This is a bad person to give it to. This is a bad network to give it to. And I weep for the security around this footage and all the potential compromise points that are there. But again, back to the question. Do you think it is in the public interest for Fox to have it? Do you think it's in the public interest for everybody to have it? And do you agree or disagree with me for all of the potential security holes as this goes over from Kevin McCarthy to Tucky Wuckums over at Fox News? So, thanks for checking out this episode, folks. Let me know what you think below.